I remember stepping into Westbridge High, armed only with a scholarship and a big dream to pursue my education. No, not just education, but a space where I could be myself, or at least who I thought I could be. But as soon as I walked through those hallways, I felt the weight of awkward glances and snickers, like everyone could see my insecurities so clearly, as if I were wearing a neon sign that read Target here. And then there was Grayson Blake. Picture this: a crowded hallway, the typical chaos of students hurrying to class, laughter echoing, until it all goes silent. Grayson strides up, flanked by his crew, and with a hand like a vice grip, he yanks my collar hard enough that I could have sworn my bones rattled. "What's up?" "Scholarship." He sneers, a grin that spoke volumes of his ego. For a moment, I could feel sweat bead on my forehead as my heart raced. This wasn't just some random bully. I knew I had to become someone else in that moment and struggled to keep my composure. But here's the thing about me, and maybe this is what Grayson didn't understand underneath this skin. I've been a black belt in karate since I was 5 years old. Yeah, I grew up on a steady diet of discipline taught by my grandfather, who drilled into me the true essence of martial arts: self-control and respect. You see, it wasn't about being the toughest kid on the block. No, it was about having the wisdom to decide when to fight and when to walk away. Yet every day at Westbridge felt like walking a tightrope. Sure, I excelled academically, but in the social scene, I was invisible, an outsider in a relentless sea of insiders. Teachers would often overlook me in class discussions, just another face lost among the crowd. And as for my peers, well, Grayson and his cohort made it clear that my scholarship didn't make me worthy of their respect. They called me names, threw hissy fits over being outperformed on tests. And I remember how Savannah, one of Grayson's closest allies, would echo his insults, because bullying requires a chorus, right? Day after day, I bore this weight, and I could feel the frustration boiling under the surface. It came to a head one fateful Tuesday. I was carrying my books, dodging the stares, when Grayson stepped into my path. He was mean mugging, hard cracking jokes that drew a small crowd. His confidence was brimming, as if picking on me was all part of some twisted power trip. "Nice outfit. Did you get dressed in the dark?" He jeered, laughter swirling around us like a toxic cloud. And without warning, he grabbed my shirt, the same shirt my grandfather had bought me, blue and crisp, the last remnant of his support. And that was it. You see, I had trained myself for years to avoid fights, but this, it was like something snapped. Maybe it was adrenaline kicking in. Maybe it was the realization that I couldn't allow this punk to take anything more from me. I knew I had the skills to stand up for myself without crossing into violence. So I pivoted like a dancer and executed a swift roundhouse kick, the kind my grandfather would have been proud of. Suddenly, Grayson was on the floor, his pride shattered along with his grip on my collar. The hallway fell silent, every pair of eyes glued to the scene unfolding before them. I couldn't believe I had done a shift, not just in power, but in identity. But just as quickly as the victory surged, reality came crashing back. The next thing I knew, I was in front of the principal, with Grayson nursing a bruised ego and claims of excessive force. I could hardly process it. Here he was, Muay Thai champion of the hallway, painting me as the villain. "Aren't you the one who's always talked about bullying?" Principal Hayes questioned, her voice dripping with skepticism. I could almost hear her mental calculations: pretty scholarship girl versus the popular athlete. "Not just bullying, but physical assault," I insisted, an edge creeping into my voice. "Don't you see, this is about so much more?" To make matters worse, I felt the walls closing in, as Grayson's narrative won favoritism even after he'd tried to demean me so publicly. But just as I thought it was over, my friend Emma stepped up with video footage captured during the whole chaos. It was as if time froze. Watching the evidence unfold on the screen, the room finally began to shift. Grayson's version was exposed, harsh truths laid bare for all to see. And guess what? Grayson's expulsion came not because of bullying, but for vandalizing my grandfather's dojo soon after. Can you believe it? The irony didn't escape me. And though it felt good, the win left a bitter taste in my mouth. I wasn't just upset because of the injustice, it was the exhaustion. The systems were rigged, and while some hailed me a hero for standing up, others criticized my actions. "Do we glorify violence now?" they questioned, shaking their heads. Some thought I should have walked away. But could I keep walking away when my identity as a person, my dignity, was constantly being tested? I realized the fight wasn't just mine. It echoed a larger struggle against injustice, bullying social biases in this relentless fight for recognition. As I think back on that moment, I wonder, when do you decide enough is enough? When do you stop trying to fit a mold others create for you and start shaping your own? So I turn it over to you, my viewers. What's your take? What would you have done in my place? Have you ever faced the kind of dismissal I did? Share your stories in the comments. Let's spark a conversation about standing up for what is right. Because maybe, just maybe together, we can create a world where we don't have to fight so hard for a little respect.